Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. My opponent's gone first, and I have quite a good rack, but do I have a bingo? I don't think I have a 7. But do I have something through one of these floaters? Can't see anything through the K, or the E, or the V, or the L, but the I looks promising. Is there something there? Well, it looks possible, but I can't see it. So, how to resolve this rack? I certainly want to play off one of the N's and play off the U. And I'm looking at the K. Well, I could play Crunk. I think that's going to leave a reasonable rack even score. Well, 22 points. Well, bingo-y tiles, but duplicate tiles. Sometimes difficult to spot a bingo. I don't think I've got a 7. But do I have something through the R? I think into tie is good, and retinite. Wow, that would be a double-double. I'm not 100% sure of it, but I think into tie has an anagram, and retinite is the only candidate move. That has been blocked. So do I have an alternative bingo? I'm looking at the L of thinly. Can't see anything through that. Now what about the C of Crunk? The trouble I'm going to have with this rack is if I don't bingo, I'm going to struggle to score. I don't think I do have a bingo. Just considering the remaining floaters in thinly, but I can't see anything. So, what am I looking to get rid of? An I, an E, and a T. Well, I could play Yeti. Let me see what this scores. £16 points, which isn't a great score. It does sort the rack out, and it does create a couple of hotspots, which is better than creating one hotspot. It's opening up the triple word square at H15, and it's also placing a vowel next to a triple letter square. So, do I wish to do this? I'm wondering if I've got a play in row H, either beginning underneath the Y or ending underneath the T. Well, I may do, but I'm not sure that's going to be hugely better than Yeti. Through an O, I would have aerotone. Again, a lot of bingo-y tiles, but this time hampered by the slight excess of vowels. I don't think I have a 7-letter bingo here. Carotene. I have carotene through the C of Crunk. And through an L, I would have real tone. But that doesn't quite work with the L of thinly. So at the moment it's just carotene. Is there something else? I've got the T and the H of thinly to consider. Can't see anything through the T. Or the H. Well, hopefully my opponent will be drawn to some of the hotspots that I have opened with Yiti. Carotene won't score very much, and it'll stop one square short of a double word square, so whoever gets the first S may well be tempted to pluralise it. I don't know anything about my opponent, but I note that his rating is towards the bottom end of the range for which I send out a seek request. So that may be some indication of his ability, but it's always difficult to know how good somebody is when you don't know them. Great, carotene remains available. I have another L, which real tone doesn't fit around. Now what about the D? Can't see anything through that. So, 61 points. I don't draw an S. All 4 S's are out there. I don't have a bingo. I've got a B and a Y for score, but I'd also like to sort out the slight vowel preponderance. Actually, that's going to be difficult. I think the best I can hope for is to play off an equal number of vowels and consonants. But I would like to play off both the Y and the B. The Y is fairly unbingo-y and the B is quite unbingo-y. So a play of yabo or obey might be the best I can do. And I can play yabo in column 5 parallel to carotene. So this is what I'm thinking of. £27 points, which is a good score. EIT, although vowel heavy, is a fairly synergetic set of tiles, which should be okay provided I don't have too many duplicates. And it goes quite well with the D of bold and the L of loft. Now what I'm looking at is the F of loft, because I could place my Y immediately underneath that. Do I want to do that? So I could play, well, I was going to say I could play Yeti, but that's going to leave me with 2 E's and a B, so I think I will stick with Yabo. I'm just looking around to see if there's anywhere better for Yabo or Obey, and I can't see anywhere. Well, that's pretty good. I have no duplicate tiles, and I no longer have a preponderance of vowels, but I don't have a bingo. So what I'm looking to do is to play off 2 or 3 of F, C, and G. Now through an N, I might have faceting, but I'm not sure if that's good. And in any event, there isn't an N available. I've got geofact through the O of loft, but that doesn't reach the double word square, so it's not going to score very much. The C is a bingo-y tile, so a play of fig or gif would leave quite a good rack leave. I could play fig in column 3, making fee 20 points, which is okay, but it would be nicer to score closer to 30. Let me see what this scores. 28. Well, that is closer to 30. It's opening up column 13 as a bingo lane for a bingo ending S, because ifs is good, but with the rack leave that I have, it's quite bingo-y. So I don't mind there being bingo lanes open on the board. And also, I would like to keep the board open if I am better than my opponent. Well, that's a poor pickup. 3 vowels and duplicate letters. Through an M, I would have emaciate. But apart from that, I can't really see anything with this rack. I may have to use the C to score. And I think I'm going to end up wrecking this rack leave that I was working on. I could play Acia, A-E-C-I-A, and Biger in column 13. Pretty risky move because Acia does take an L. So maybe there's somewhere better for that. Well, I could play Acial in column 10, but for not many points. 12 points. Quite disappointing given how bingo-y my rack leave was. I notice there's a hotspot in column 1 for a 6-letter play beginning to the left of the A of quota. But I don't have any 6-letter plays which go there that I can see. £21 points for my opponent. We're neck and neck at 154 each. Pimer does take an S. I'm tempted by Acia in column 13 because although Acia takes an L isn't the most bingo-y of bingo-y tiles. And my priority is always to sort the rack out. Something doesn't look quite right about this word. Am I confusing it with something else? This would be a really bad time to phony. I think it's good. Well, I don't draw an L for going after it. In fact, all the L's have been played, so it's just the blanks which could act as an L. Biger takes an E at the end. Now I've got time and wire as short words, and I'm considering those in case they're components of an 8 or 7-letter bingo. But I can't see a bingo with these tiles. But if I were to play mu somewhere, my rack leave of E-I-R-T would be really good. And there's only 2 I's left, so the chances of duplicating the I are small. So where can I play mu or wem? Well, I could play mu to the left of Acia and parallel to it, putting the W on the double letter square at O12. 18 points, not a huge score. But the rack leave would be great. So where else can I play mu? There go 2 of the S's, and my opponent establishes a good lead. Now, I can play mu here, keeping tire. 31 points. But how blocked is the board? What I'm thinking about is playing mu at A14 with a view to opening up column 15. But if I open up column 15, my opponent could simply score well and go further into the lead. So this isn't a great play. I'm not opening the board up. Poisons was a good bingo by my opponent. It closed down the beaky hook, and also it took out the lane where it was played. So what I'm left with is the L hook for Esia and the S hook for Pima, and the bingo lanes in column 7 beginning with the H of Thinly and going through the P of Poison. So fairly slim pickings, but I think taking 31 points at this time and keeping this good rack leave is the right thing to do. Great, I draw one of the blanks. Do I have anything with the blank as an S or an L? Can't see anything with an S or an L. So, what about my other options? There's the P of Poisons. Do I have anything through that? Well, I might do, but again, the duplicate letters make it harder to spot a bingo. Now, I have Heritrix in column 7 through the H of Thinly. Fantastic. It's not going to score hugely, and it will stop, well, it doesn't matter that it stops one square short of the bottom row because it doesn't take any floaters, and hopefully my opponent will leave that alone. Column 11 might attract him to play parallel to mu. Now, column 1 is also a bingo lane beginning with the L of Loft. So I could have a play beginning L-I-T. Nope. Okay, great score by my opponent. Jorked, 51 points. Fortunately, Heritrix remains available. But I think I'm still going to be quite a way behind. Heritrix, 64 points. Pretty good pickup. I pick up an S. And I am actually only 11 points behind, which is not much. And there are very few bingo lanes on this board, and with both blanks played, the Asia or the Asial hook cannot be used, and no other letter goes after Asia, I believe. Now, what I can do is play hooped in row B, and that would score well. It would also open up 2 hotspots or bingo lanes, one of them in row A and one of them in column 15. So I might fancy doing that. It'll score about 40 points. I think row B is the only bingo lane available on this board. So I need to be sure that there isn't a bingo on my rack. I can't see one, but it might be quite an unusual bingo with a P towards the end of the word. So a compound word ending shop, for example. Now my opponent has scored very little, which is good. He's only 19 points behind, so I think this might be a good time to score 40 points. Looking at the tiles that are left, they're not really particularly bingo-y. So this will give me 40 points. This will give me a 20-point lead. Now the vowel situation is not good. I have got I'm keeping no vowels by playing hooped. And there are 5 vowels out of 16 tiles. And I would certainly need a vowel to utilise column 15, so maybe hooped isn't the greatest play. Let me put this back. I've got plenty of time, 9 minutes. What can I do that's better? Now, I'm looking parallel to Ace here. I could play my H next to the C. So I could play Hore down there, H-O-R-E, keeping an O. And I think with 3 vowels and so few vowels left, keeping 1 vowel is a good thing to do. It's so attractive though, that 40 points for hooped. Well, I could play hoed down here. Let me see what this scores. 32 points, so 8 points fewer than hooped, but it's harder for my opponent to score well off this. Mid does take an S, which I have. ORS is reasonably balanced, and this is going to give me a lead of about 12 points. So I think this is better than hooped. If there wasn't the vowel shortage, I would certainly have preferred hooped. Yeah, that's why I wanted to keep a vowel. I've drawn no vowels, but the one vowel that I have means that I have choices. And I can play sword and mids in column 15, which is going to score quite well. There are 5 tiles left. My opponent may have the S, but I'm hoping that if he's looking at A15, he's looking at a 2-letter play, which would still allow sword to be played. All of the action seems to be going on in the top right of the board. Now, what if my opponent places one of the A's to make amid? Does amid take an S? Not sure. It may be an American spelling of amide, or it may simply be a word which doesn't take an S. Now, with 5 tiles left, my opponent could empty the bag. My lead is only 13 points. I'm looking around to see where I can play my W. Now, I can play it in column 14. I could play woe and wow and no for about 30 points. Great, look at that. My opponent doesn't block the sword spot. He's left tiles in the bag, and now there are still 5 tiles unseen, but out of 10 tiles, so the vowel shortage has changed into an even situation. Looking at the scores, my opponent is 13 points ahead. I'm wondering if I can put my S on the end of zag. The reason for doing that would be to stop my opponent doing exactly that. But I don't think I can do that. So I'm going back to sword, which I know is going to score well. If I pick a vowel, that will go quite well with the N and the R that I'm keeping. Well, I could play Sworn and keep DR. Sword, 38 points, so this is going to give me a 25-point lead. Do I want to sacrifice 3 points to have DR rather than NR? I don't think so. I think the N goes better than the D with the V, which is a problem tile. Well, that's not good. But is my 25-point lead enough? I can't go out in one. Ah, I can play Axe at A15. If my opponent doesn't go there, and he doesn't, so he takes a 17-point lead, but he is going to go out. So let me see what Axe scores. 54 points. I'm currently 17 behind. So this will give me a 37-point lead. Take off 6 for count back. My opponent needs 31 to draw, and he's just got ES. He can play S and Zags. That's not going to score 31 points. And, well, he may have better places than S and Zags, but wherever he plays, I don't think he's going to get up to 31 points. Now, is Axe at A15 the best I can do? I'm looking around to see, well, in particular at the triple letter squares. Yeah, I think this is the best. I have a terrible rack lead, but I think that's irrelevant because I am expecting my opponent to go out. If he doesn't, I've got, well, just under 5 minutes, so plenty of time to find a play. My opponent's got 7.5 minutes. Now, did I miscalculate the scores? I am 37. No, I didn't. I'm 37 points ahead. 6 on countback. He needs 31 to draw. I'm looking around to see if there is anywhere great for him, and I don't think there is. He'll get 16 points for pluralizing Zag. Okay. I click pass to end the game. And the final score, 378 to my opponent, 394 to me. So a margin of victory of just 16 points. Very close end game. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first. He played Cavill. Great, I didn't miss a bingo here. And Crunk for 22 looks best. And again, this was a somewhat bingo-y rack. I had Retinite blocked. All of the moves suggested there score not very much, and I think Yeti is fine given its rack lead. Carotene was the only bingo, so I'm delighted to have spotted that. Beery for 30. Well, I played Yebo for 27, which retained an E, so very little between those moves. But where... and Beery is played at A5, so that's putting the B in row A, allowing my opponent to score using one of the triple word squares, so I think Yebo is preferable. Fag for 28 at H12. Well, that's in the same spot as I played Fig. I don't think there's very much between those plays. Acer J13, that was my play. Nice bingo by my opponent. Let's see if he had anything else. He didn't. Mu at D12. Well, that was my play. It's a nice rack for my opponent. Did he have anything? Well, this is where he played jorked, but he could have played jorped through the P of poisons and retained his blank, so jorped would have been better. Heratrix was the only bingo, so I'm delighted to have spotted that. Quite an obscure word. Now, looking at the scores, I was 19 points behind, and this is where I was agonising over playing hooped. I14. Wow. Reshod running down parallel to Acer for 51 points. Very tempting. What I did was hoed for 19 fewer points. And what's good about reshod is that it's keeping a vowel, so I think reshod was the play. Pretty horrible rack for my opponent. Even if I'd played hooped, he wouldn't have been able to take huge advantage from it. This is where I played sword for 38, and with 3 tiles left, that's got to be better than playing ow for 38. And here axe looks like it was the best play. So, an interesting game. Very close. I thought looking at the differential in our ratings that this may be an opportunity to score well and win by a large margin, but even if there is a differential in ability, the luck element of Scrabble can easily even that out over one game, and that proved to be the case in this game, in which it was a very close end game. I'm pleased to have spotted Carotene and Heratrix. They're both difficult bingos to spot, and on both of those occasions there were no alternative bingos, so if I hadn't seen the bingo, I'd have been playing a significantly inferior second best move. So this illustrates the importance of word power, and I think the other interesting point from this game is probably the thinking behind hooped and recognizing the vowel shortage in the bag and finding a play which enabled me to keep a vowel. I didn't find the best play. Reshod would have been better than hoed, but hoed was better than hooped because it retained a vowel, and keeping that vowel was the difference between winning and losing this game. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.